talk a good game, and tonight is the preview of Tottenham Hotspur against West Ham United. I'm joined by a regular and a special guest, but first of all, let's talk about the regular. Kris, good evening, hello.
Good evening, you alright, mate?
I'm not too bad, yourself? Are you looking forward to the special guest?
Very much, mate. I've been brushing up on my stuff, so I know a lot more than last time.
Brilliant. And special guest, Nick, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hello, yes, I'm Nick Rhys, and I'm currently playing Lockie Campbell on Channel 4's Hollyoaks, which I'm sure you're all massive fans of, which is on obviously every day at 6:30 PM.
Well, there you go. Don't miss it. In case you've just joined us, this is not a debate on the referendum from a year ago. Don't worry about it. But anyway, let's crack on. Tottenham Hotspur. Nick, before we talk about Tottenham, why do you support West Ham? I'm Scottish. I get asked all the time. You're Scottish. You must get asked all the time, and I'm going to ask you.
Of course. Well, it's obviously a very weird thing to follow West Ham being from Edinburgh, but my dad actually went to school down in England, and his best mate from those years was a guy called Martin Cairns. Now, his family, the Cairns family, were actually in charge of the club for quite a few years, I think at least 60, 70 years, and just prior to sort of Terry Brown coming in, he was, his family were in charge, so he was the vice chairman of the club for a large period of time. So basically West Ham ended up being the kind of family team, and I personally kind of came into it, like I say, I think the early 92, 93 season, Ludek McCloskey being one of my first big favourite players, but the team of kind of, Bishop, John Moncur, Trevor Morley, that kind of era, the BAC Windows Bukta kit, as I remember it well. That was the kind of era I got into. So, and obviously, yeah, what I did was get to the sort of main games in Newcastle, Liverpool, Leeds, and Manchester, and that was how I sort of started my love for West Ham.
Fantastic, love it. Now let's talk about the not so nice team of London. Kris, what do you make of Tottenham?
What, generally, or this season?
Both.
I'm not a fan of Tottenham Hotspur, it has to be said. I grew up, unlike you, so I grew up in East London, so we got quite a lot of stick from, you were either a West Ham fan, a Tottenham fan, or you were a glory hunter and supported Liverpool when I was growing up. So yeah, I copped a lot of stick over the years of Tottenham fans, so not my favourite club, it has to be said. This season, they seem to be better than I expect them to be. The players like Dele Alli have come in playing well. He seems to be getting a tune out of Lamella now. Eriksen's come back into the team. Kane started scoring. I think they're almost better than the sum of their parts, Tottenham.
Nick, do you think Spurs can finish in the top four? And do you hate them as much as Kris?
It's got to be up there. I think it's that kind of like chicken and egg situation. Do I hate them because they are Spurs, or do I hate them because of the sort of the individuals that they fill their teams with, who manages them, and especially Levy in charge? I first of all don't think they've got the staying power or the depth of squad to finish in the top four. And no, I don't like them, if that's the answer to your two questions. I think it's going to be very interesting though on Sunday. It's going to be a very, very close game, I think.
I actually think they've got a chance of finishing in the top four, I'm afraid, but it's more because I think the fourth spot's going to be too weak this season compared to previous seasons. I think Chelsea have given themselves a lot to do to get that, and I think that blows open. But at the end of the show, I'm going to ask you, if we win on Sunday, are we realistically in that group that could nick it? But for me, Tottenham are the youngest team in the league. They're probably the fittest team in the league. I think come April, May time, I think they're going to pick up a lot of points compared to teams around them. And I'm worried. I don't hate them as much as you guys. Maybe it's because I'm from Aberdeen. The team I hate a lot, we're playing in a couple of weeks' time. So you will probably feel a change in my voice when we play Manchester United. But I will tell you all about that before we play them. We normally talk to a different opposition fan during the show, but I forgot to get a Tottenham fan. To be honest, I didn't really want to speak to them, so I didn't bother. But we do have a competition. Someone that watches the show has got in touch to say they're going to donate a training top, which will be sent direct to the winner from the club. So it is brand new, and that's not out of their wardrobe. Don't worry about it. I've checked that out. And to enter, all you have to do is subscribe to YouTube, or go onto Twitter or Facebook, and there will be a post for you to then just share or retweet, and you're entered, and someone will win a training top courtesy of an anonymous donation from one of our viewers. So thank you very much for that. Now, On Sunday, Sacco is a very big possibility of returning. We had Song come through a friendly. Nick, before we talk about what we think on Sunday, what's your thoughts on the season so far for West Ham?
Yeah, it's been overwhelmingly positive. I think it's been a very, very pleasant surprise. I think the biggest surprise is the sort of first of all the style of football that we've played. Second surprise would be the magician that's sadly not going to be around in Payet. But thirdly, I think the actual depth of squad. I think there's been a number of games in which we've kind of not been quite there to the finish point and had some people on the bench that can come in. And as you say, I think against it was Crystal Palace that Son got through a game there, looked quite tidy. And having him come back and having Big Andy Carroll sort of seem to be okay at the minute means the sort of the continuing problems with people like Valencia and Obiang being out alongside Payet means it doesn't seem quite sort of like an all hope is lost situation in previous seasons. Because let's not forget, we've started other seasons very well and fallen off by Christmas, as we did from being third last year and then really falling off the radar under Allardyce's last sort of part in charge. So this season, I think, as with many, after Christmas is where it really gets interesting. But this year, I think the squad's maybe got a bit more depth to it and maybe gives me a bit more optimism.
Yeah, fantastic. Kris, Mr. Big fan of Alex Song. Do you put Alex Song into the team for Sunday?
It depends how competitive this game against Palace was that we won the behind the door club, behind closed doors game against Palace 1-0, didn't we? If that was truly competitive, I think what Bilic said was quite telling, which was he said Song is a naturally fit lad. So is he sort of priming him to come in? As I say, if he was fit, I'd start him. As soon as he's fit, he starts every game for me.
How would you line up, Kris? Obviously, we've got Payet missing, so
yes.
He's got to change something. Would you just put Song in and use that 11? Obviously, I know you're not a big fan of Carroll, so you'll probably be wanting Sacco back in, but how would you line up?
Well, Sacco is pivotal because what Spurs do, they play a high line and they will press. That's what they do. And our biggest success this season has come against teams when we hit them on the break with pace. So that's the thing. We suck it up and then we break with pace. So I think Sacco has got to be a part of that. If not, we have to change the whole system. So do we change the whole system for one player? No, I doubt it. Lanzini pops into Payet's position, and then we probably draft in Zarate, who deserves another start. I'm going to have to imagine that Song is not fit to play a full game. I can't imagine how he would be. So, yeah, just for that. Yep, Lanzini in the middle, Zarate comes in.
And Nick, do you agree with that, or how would you line up against Spurs?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd pretty much overall agree with the sort of personnel change. The thing that does worry me so far is there isn't a huge plan B with West Ham sometimes, I think, tactically. I think, it's been working, so why change it? But looking at Spurs, they seem to have kind of defensive, for me, frailty on the fullback position. And yeah, I mean, what Sacco does do is he does get a bit more wide. He's not kind of rigidly stuck in the centre, which would be good. Obviously not got that kind of free roaming option like Payet that really does sort of go all over the park. So I would sort of probably stick with that, and I probably wouldn't put Song straight in. I think he would definitely benefit from maybe coming into a game that we were maybe at least drawing in the second half or 1-0 hopefully. And Spurs, for all what they've done this season, I think, as you say, they're fit, but I think, if you can get to them and get ahead, you can really start to control them in the second half, it feels.
Yeah, it worries me though. Spurs were excellent against Arsenal, I thought. They've only lost once this season, which was on the opening day. They're in form. Kris, are you confident going into Sunday then, or are you worried?
I think I'm more confident than I probably should be, to be honest with you, just because the previous results, City and Arsenal and Liverpool, probably boosted confidence. I do think, I watched the Arsenal game, they were very impressive, but Arsenal play a different game, and Arsenal have to control possession. If Arsenal don't control possession, then they're sort of thrown out of their stride. I think we've shown all season we don't have to control possession, and as I say, we're willing to counter quickly on the break. And don't forget, Antonio is fast as pants, so maybe he can come on and do a little something there as well. So yeah, I'm quietly confident. I think we can do it.
Yeah, just to throw a couple of curveballs at Nick for ask if he's confident. The referee is Anthony Taylor. Oh God, And yep, him. And also, to play devil's advocate, we've only lost one of our last 5 trips to White Hart Lane, so we've not exactly got a bad record there. Nick, are you confident for Sunday?
I am actually. I think it seems to be shaping up to be one of these sort of weird seasons in which we'll beat all the big sides and then maybe not get into gear for the smaller ones. Now, on that kind of logic, I would class Spurs as a kind of big game in the sense of the way we would approach it. So, yes, we've not probably got the ideal referee, but as you say, we've got a great record, and I would say, yeah, we're going to go for it, and you know, I don't. There's a bit more of the zest about the team, and I think Bilic will be able to communicate a lot more about what it means to win this game. I think there was that sort of apathy that snuck in last season. And I think, yeah, combining with how well we're playing, how our form is, and our record against Spurs over recent years, yes, I think we'll definitely win.
Fantastic. I'm in the middle. I think it's going to be very much against Everton. I think it was obvious for 20 minutes to go in the Everton game. Both managers were happy with a point. I think that was obvious to me. And I think it could be the same on Sunday if it's a draw and not long to go. I think both teams will take a point and say it was a fair result. There's a bit of respect for each team and how good they are this season. Before you pop your head on the line with predictions, Kris, if we win on Sunday, what's our aim for the season? Do we have to think, right, okay, we're doing it against the big boys now. What does Bilic have to be aiming for in May if we beat Tottenham?
I think you change your goals incrementally. So you start off by saying we're going to beat relegation, and you have a fantastic start. You think, okay, we've got to reevaluate that. See, mid-table, I think now, really, if we beat Tottenham, then we've got to say, you know what, we've got a lot of our harder games out of the way. We've got to be pushing for a top 7 finish. Then again, you reevaluate again in December.
Share that with you, Nick.
I do. I agree with the kind of the goals constantly changing. What I also think though sometimes is, first of all, when teams are not used to being in a certain position, they don't know how to be, if that makes sense, and you can have this tremendous run of form, beat the hard teams, and then just not know where you are with it. And again, I also think if you have a good run, you can take your foot off the gas and go, do you know what, we're a mid-table side, we've set out this season to secure Premiership status, we've got that, so we might step back a little bit psychologically. So this is where I think goals-wise, Bilic has got to really show his skill as a manager and go, do you know what, let's still push on right to the end of the season with this form. I think West Ham can be culprits of doing that kind of brilliant out the blocks and then just sort of petering out somewhat. So I would definitely think, you know, the sort of, how would you say it, mid-table of the top 10 would be somewhat of a good goal and an accurate one. When you look at the teams above you, it gets that kind of spending league that we're just not going to be kind of capable to compete with. But I think, as I say, I'm optimistic more than most seasons.
Yeah, it's all about the FA Cup for me, I'm afraid. I know FA Cup's not until January, but for me, it's getting safe. And then once the FA Cup comes around, that becomes priority. I want silverware for our last season Upton Park. Please, Mr. Slaven Bilic, if you can make that come true, I'll be happy. Now keep your eyes out on Twitter and Facebook for our competition. Remember, hit subscribe and come on to hammerschat.com. But before we bail, it's time to put their neck on the line. Kris, you've still not got a prediction right.
I've got close though. I've got close, haven't I?
Yes, but close gets you nothing in this game. So come on, give us your score prediction.
I will go for 1-0 West Ham.
Nick.
That's what I was going to say.
You can say the same if you want.
I'm going to go for 1-0 as well. So he'll get it this week, obviously, because I've said it.
Yes.
I'm going for 1-1. I'm surprised you can trust us to keep a clean sheet. We haven't done it a lot this season, but I share your confidence. I hope you guys are right and I'm wrong. Unlikely. But thank you very much for joining us. Kris, thank you.
Thank you.
Nick, thank you for giving out your time and popping on.
Cheers, no bother.
And I've been Gio from hammerschat.com. Do come on and join us. And remember, pop back on Sunday night for a review of the Spurs game and find out who has won the training top. Good night.